What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we return with Tino of Mice and Men. Great to talk with you again, man. We were just having a great talk about
What's cracking? Yeah.
we're just having a great talk about the new Loathe album, which was
Yeah,
the
man. First things first. I mean, I saw your shirt and I'm like, I'm also a shirt collector as well. And Loathe is they're killing it, man. They're a sick band. Not that new on the scene, but a couple years deep, but it's awesome that people are now hearing about them and we're on the same label and so we want to push the entire vibe of everything forward. So it's, Loathe forward, of Mice forward, everything new and like modern metalcore in 2020, 2021. We're in the future now, you guys. Like we gotta understand that metalcore wasn't supposed to make it this far, but
right.
it has. Like, dude, seriously, it was not supposed to make it this far, but now there's radio play, now there's syncs, now there's publishing, now there's so much stuff now that bands nowadays that are pushing the genre forward and using the influence that they feel and they just push it forward in their own sonic integrity. That is it, dude. That's
Metalcore.
it.
You know how like when you look back at different time periods, right? And there's always like a music
Sure.
that defines it, like the swing music for World War II, or like
Of course.
like I think when our children's, like our great grandkids are learning about the COVID-19 pandemic, metalcore is gonna be like when they're watching like a documentary on it, like
Man, I'm going to tell you right now, I see it immediately now in our fans that we grew up with, man. Like, we just celebrated yesterday the 11th anniversary of our first album coming out. That didn't mean anything to us at the time. We were just making jams and we're just like, yeah, let's just go, let's go on tour. And to now be here 12 years after the fact, 11 years after the fact, and know that there are fans of the band that are now raising their children on metalcore, on what they grew up on. And it's like, dude, that is the most insane thing that you can never tell me in a million years. Like, when my parents heard it, they're like, oh, this screaming music, like it'll never take hold, it'll never do anything. And I'm like, well, because it doesn't resonate with you, that's fine.
yeah,
It's all good.
it, it-
You
it's
don't get it.
it's not just
You don't
screaming;
understand me.
it's a way of life.
Yeah, no, but it really is and I say this in a lot of interviews, but it really is like, you don't just get served this dish of metalcore. You have to find it because you're looking for something and you're wanting something that is different from what you're being force fed every single day when you wake up. You want to find the alternative to, I guess, just the same routine, like you want to find something that's different. And then you find this screaming music that, like, you show your friend and your friend's like, what the hell is this? I
Yeah,
don't get this. And you're like, no, but the groove and the this and the that. And like, you hear things because you're ready to hear it, like you're ready to process that information. And our music has been there for over a decade now, doing that,
absolutely.
being right there for that person. To We're not in the forefront, we're not trying to cram ourselves down your throat, but when you find us, you're going to find a connection. And that's really what this music comes down to, and the community and everything alongside it. It really is such a personal journey, because when you're ready to hear screaming music, you're ready. You know what
Oh,
I'm saying? Like, it's like you need that right then and there at that moment, and you're just feeling that and you're connecting with it. Boom. That
de-
is
definitely,
it's
definitely.
it's the alternative sound, and it's not pop music, and it's not, everybody says rock and roll's dead. Yeah, rock and roll's dead. Well, what about emotional music? What about
Hmm.
metalcore? What about metal? What about all these other things that are happening? But at the same time, we never went out and was like, we were like looking for something new, like, oh, we need to find something new. Like, no, it was just, we were just feeling this pain, and all of a sudden this song came to us, this Slipknot, this Corn,
Yeah.
this,
Metalcore is
to
like,
this new generation.
yeah, metalcore is like,
That there's the of Mice, there's the ADTR, there's the Bring Me the Horizon, there's the, all these things that will reach out to people in different decades. But in actuality, it's not in the mainstream, and it's not meant for the mainstream. It's meant for the person that feels outside of the box, that feels like, oh man, I might have been forgotten by all my friends that are like mourning over this and that, and I'm mourning over like my own self-worth, and it's like an integral part of listening to yourself. So
yeah,
wild.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I do want to like get into that actually more, because I wanted to make this
Sure.
kind of like the metalcore like topic in a way. But the first thing is
Right.
we got to like do the promotional stuff, because the Timeless
Yeah, let's go.
yeah, the Timeless EP is really awesome, as in it reminds me why I liked you guys. Like I was in like 8th or ninth grade when I first started Mice and Men, and like
Awesome.
this reminded me like why I gravitated towards the band to begin with. Could this maybe serve as like a good representation, or a good first taste, or a good way of showing what the next full length of Mice and Men album is going to sound like?
Absolutely. I think it's really it came from the great equalizer, which is COVID, which turned everybody's life, just whatever you do, it doesn't matter. Boom.
Yep.
The great equalizer. And we called it that. And we were kind of realizing, like, where does a musician stand in this landscape? Like, where does the entertainer, like, where half of our life is seriously, like, we're entertainers. We go on tour 300 days out of the year. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happens when that gets stripped away? It's a terrifying thought at the moment, but we brought it back to, what do we do best? Well, we write songs really well. And not to toot our own horn, but like, we've been writing these albums since day one. So the communication and the lyrical, I guess, musical landscape, it remains the same for Mice and Men, because we're not going to go out and like reinvent the wheel. That's not what this band is about. This band is about creating fun, entertaining, live aspect music. Well, what happens when the live aspect gets taken away? Well, guess what? We're going to go on 9 million in the brain and self-produce our own album and make sure that it is the most awesome of Mice and Men material that anybody has ever heard. And it was forcefully put onto us because of being sidelined. Like, I haven't seen my bandmates in a year already. Like, it's been over 12 months that me and my guys have been in a room together. Yet we're able to produce music, and we use Zoom, we use Twitch, we use all the different kinds of outlets to connect with each other. But like, the physical and the formal aspect of creating records has been completely like taken out of our mindset now. And we've had to adapt and move forward with this new age of, it's 2021, man. Like, we're literally living in the future. Our cars are not flying, but we are in 2021. They didn't write books this far. You know what I mean? Like, they ended at 2019. Like,
yeah,
the rapture was supposed to happen in 2020 in Cozumel. You know what I mean? Like,
this pandemic, fast forwarded through a lot of aspects of life. Like,
yeah, man, and it's so crazy being a modern musician band. Though we are a modern metalcore band, we really realize that our place in all of this is to have fun, make good music, and talk about what we go through in our life and put it into the songs, and hope that our audience can connect with it. And here we are 12 years deep, more Spotify listeners than ever. The We're climbing charts. It's not supposed to be like this. You know what I mean? Like it's not supposed to be. I don't know. It's just it's a really crazy thing to be able to create new music, especially commenting on our life, on what everybody's going through, and then having it connect with so many people is absolutely incredible.
And I think what it is that there's certain bands that stick with the sound and will always cater to the fan base that they started off with. I feel like Of Mice and
Sure,
Men grew with their fans. You know what I mean? Like, look, you mentioned like you have the metalcore thing. That's definitely true, but I could tell
sure,
what will be off of The Flood, what will be off of Cold World, what will be off of Earth and Sky, the
right.
last one. So I think you have the ability to always stay true to the people who started with you, but also bring new people on board with demonstrating evolution. I don't consider like
Right.
Earth and Sky to be a continuation of Defy, or Defy to be a continuation of Cold
Mhm.
World. Like, it's a
You're
continuation
exactly
of
correct. None
evolution.
of them are continuations of each other. It's all just moments in time of our life, and we're just kind of like re refracting what happens in our life in hopes that somebody could listen to that and be like, oh wow, that's important to me, because we realize how important that was for us when we were growing up, to hear authentic music, to hear authentic lyrics, to hear a chorus and really feel like, man, that doesn't make me feel happy. That makes me get in touch with like an emotional side of myself that maybe I didn't realize at first, and I feel like with music nowadays and how everything, we're all sitting on our phones all day, we're all sitting on the computer all day. Like it is what it is. And I feel like in the grand scheme of music and art and everything, it's important to have that authenticity, to have that like, hey, I feel just like you, man. I'm a music fan. Like
Yeah.
I am a musician. I am in a big metal band. At the same time, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of music. I'm a fan of art. I'm a fan of what is happening in the world. I love video games. I love art. I love all kinds of stuff, like just like everybody else. And I think there's a disconnect and there's a fallacy that I think is now getting erased because the collector, the creator, the person behind all of this creativity can now finally feel like they're like, wow, I'm a creative person because, dude, look at my walls, man. Like I haven't grown up. Like I got plaques, I got posters, I got you know what I mean? Like my room has,
I'm digging the
when I
Jacob
was
Bannon
growing up,
artwork.
when I was growing up, it was posters and flyers and set lists, and you know what I mean? Like now it's plaques and it's accomplishments and stuff like that. And it's such a weird thing to get to finally experience, where now I feel like more people want to be a part of the creation of the art and be right there with the creator, as opposed to where it used to be behind the veil of like, oh well, a band's going to take 3 years to make an album. That's done.
Yeah.
That I mean that ship has sailed. Like if you're gonna search 3 years, it better be, you know
Yeah. A
like
Tool made it cool one last time, and then
right. Yeah, and so that's such an interesting thing. And I didn't grow up listening to Tool, but Aaron, our singer and bass player and multi instrumentalist, who is arguably the most incredible artist I've ever met in my entire life, he taught me about Tool, and we would listen to that when we were going to make records and we're going to write songs. And I would hear these things and the intricacies and the understanding of musicianship and the alter ego of not having an ego and just being music for the sake of music and tone for the sake of tone. And I think that that's something that we have absolutely adapted. And it was many albums prior. but it made us think that it's important to layer our cakes and to have different layers and to have so much depth to our music, to our art, to what we create, because at the end of the day, everyone's going to take it for face value. There's no question about that. They're going to hear it and they're going to be like, this is what I think about it right here and then. Now, listen to it 2 to 3 more times. Think about the lyrics, think about where it's coming from. And that's where our heads are at, is the depth in the music, the depth in the art is so much further than maybe even the normal listener can even comprehend.
Yeah,
But
it's insane. And like the whole metalcore thing, because what we were talking about, like a lot of people say, oh, of Mice and Men, there are metalcore. But like every time I ask
right.
somebody, what is metalcore? They say, oh, it's music that has singing and screaming in it. So does that make Opeth metalcore? Does that make Fear Factory
No,
metalcore?
no,
Soilwork?
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you right now
I've always
where
said
the metalcore name comes from. Is it comes from hardcore and metal music. The hardcore community mentality, which comes from the punk rock mentality of this is our community, these are our venues, these are our neighborhood homies creating bands and making people mosh and making people like question their like insurance licenses at their YMCA's and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that is hardcore. Now, the metal aspect comes from when we were all growing up, especially in Southern California, like, and us being a California band, especially now, we talk about it so much now because we have 2 from NorCal and we have 2 from SoCal. Me and Phil are from the Orange County boom of metalcore in the early 2000s.
Avenged
We went to
Sevenfold.
the 18 Visions DVD shoot. We went to the As I Lay Dying DVD shoot. We were there when these bands were like taking shape and creating this community in our community. And at the same time, you have Alan and Aaron that were in Northern California that have, they've got their Papa Roaches, they've got their See You Next Tuesdays, they've got their Heavy Heavy Lolos, they've got their like, there's a hardcore scene where people are literally like moshing and like rocking out harder than you've ever seen. And you're in the audience watching that and being like, oh my God, this is incredible. You know what I mean? Like you're there seeing what happens on a DVD that then gets, now we're in 2021, the 2003 and 2004 Hellfest DVDs and the Bleeding Through Halloween Show DVD and the Showcase Theater and these venues that are immortalized in these DVDs that are like, people are like, oh my God, I wish I could see this band in this room. We were all there to witness that.
I was
And that's really what it really inspired our band to really take it to the next level and then realize that like it's not up to us, it's up to the audience to realize like what is important. And here we are, 20 years off the backgammon, and we're like, wow, we grew up in the early 2000s watching modern metalcore take shape.
I know, and you were rivaling you were rivals of
yeah,
the East Coast because East Coast we had Kill Switch, All That Remains, Shadows Fall,
totally.
Unearth.
Well, dude, and that's crazy. That's crazy. Like, don't even call it rivaling
Yeah,
because,
yeah, I
like,
know.
we looked up to Kill Switch. We looked up to, like one of my first bands was signed to Ferret Records. That's New Jersey hardcore. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, it our life was a part of that scene that inspired us to be who we are. And here we are 12 years later, so far down. We're at about 100 original songs. You know what I mean? Like, and we're finally here being like looking back at stuff and seeing resurgences and the OGs, kind of coming back, and we're feeling like, dude, it's absolutely incredible. And we're such a privileged group of musicians to be able to have that in our life and have experienced that from the fan side to then being the musician and then being like, yo, my mind is blown right now, guys. Like, what?
And
It's
like,
not supposed to happen to us. Like, we're not that cool. We're not as cool as those guys.
and they're always like my favorite podcasts to listen to. Like, you know, listening to Brian Fair or Jesse talk with Doc Coyle, who was in God Forbid, and like, you know, you hear like the
Right.
metalcore origin stories. And like, I remember interviewing Chris Garza from Suicide Silence. He told me he saw Avenged
Oh
Sevenfold
yeah,
play to like an
dude,
empty club.
Garza,
Yeah,
the homies, man. Like seriously, dude, I grew up idolizing Suicide Silence. Like when I first met Mitch, you know, rest in peace. Like, man, we hit it off right off the bat. You know what I'm saying?
first
Like, and these are
frontman I ever
people
saw
that
live.
I looked up to that were just like on magazine covers. You know what I mean? And I just never thought that in a million years I could be friends with these people. And in actuality, there's so much similar in that musicianship, in that just I guess it's that ambition for the world. You know what I mean? Because the world is your oyster. Like, who's gonna tell you that you can't take over the world because of your metal songs?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Look at Slayer. Look at Metallica. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? Like, any band at any point in their career can get that little shred of like, who the future is bright. You know what I mean? Let's chase that. And they were easily one of the first bands, and they're still one of our closest friends with everybody in that band that, you know, really set the pace for what if.
Well, I think
It's not for everybody, but when you find it and you hear it, it's uncanny. It's there's no there's no response to your mom or grandma might be like, oh, this is awful, but you hear the groove and you're like, whoa, I'm like hearing this. And like, not everybody hears that. And it takes years in between people. You know, I even have friends that in my age, in my mid 30s, that I have friends that are like, yo, I never checked out your band, but like, you guys have some good songs. And I'm like, well, yeah. Like,
yeah,
yeah, we do, because like we hear that groove and we hear that, and it's not for everybody, but if you choose to listen and you get locked in by it, then that's everything, you know.
And does that inspiration for your songwriting process? Because again, like, because you've also appealed to multiple audiences. Like, I saw you entertain
Sure.
the Bless the Fall crowd as much as the Nothing More crowd. You know, in that year
Yeah.
time span, both were fun.
Well,
shows.
let me tell you about when we would walk out on stage to 30,000 people in Europe to a sold out Linkin Park crowd and play our heaviest song as the opener, just being like, hey, middle fingers in the air, like, you're not ready for us. You know?
Oh, really?
Like,
You got that?
dude, man, it was a cognitive idea that like a Mice and Men brings the fucking heat, dude. You know what I mean? And like, in that sense, like, if you're gonna book us on a tour, like, it's we understood the whole Linkin Park thing, and they are our big brothers. We did not expect to have the relationship that we have with them now. When that tour happened, we were just like, oh wow, they're taking us out. But no, they like big broed us, noogies, you know what I mean? Like the whole thing. Like they really taught us, like, be aware of yourself, be aware of the music. Yes, yeah.
I got the Hybrid Theory tattoo. So
yes, the dragonfly.
Yep.
Dragonfly guy.
Yeah, the Dragonfly
But
guy.
but it really is like, you know, it's an important thing to realize like what you have. And I think for us growing up, like, we just saw all these things, these moments, and they were happening around us, and like scene moments and Warped Tour, and, you know, 2012 when it was us, Sleeping with Sirens, and Pierce the Veil straight up murdering Warped Tour every day. Like, we were all like, our merch sales are better than yours. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, it was a huge, like, crazy, like, ecosystem that was like on the cusp of this is so important, and we knew that we were the metalheads, so we were like, we got to bring it. You know what I mean? Like everything that we do has to be authentic. It has to be metal. There's got to be guitar solos. There's got to be double kick drums. You know, everything that we do has to be important for the culture to move things forward. And we didn't realize it at the time, but we were laying the groundwork for where we stand now in 2021, releasing a brand new EP on a brand new label, our first time on a new label. It was a big crapshoot finishing our Rise contracts and then signing with a new label, though it be Sharptone, which we already knew. We're like, well, where's Metalcore at? Sharptone.
Currents, they got
So,
Currents, they got Loathe.
dude, I mean, they, Sean Keith, Sal Torres, everybody that works at that spot understands how to move what we grew up with forward. And it's really cool to be teamed up with them because we did not expect the release to be as good. Obsolete is it made it on the Billboard. That is not we're not chasing that anymore.
It's just
That's a young man's game.
and it's
It's a
leaving us
young
wanting
man's
more.
game to try and
That
yeah,
when
dude,
the
and
EP was over,
it's so crazy.
I was like, I want more. I want more. Like I just love that EP.
So check this out. So the EP, we've got more coming, and the way that we have talked about releasing music is we always want everybody to know that a new of Mice and Men song is coming. That you've heard it and you're loving it, and it's on your playlist and it's on your drive to work, and you've incorporated it into your life. And guess what? In 1 month's time, or 3 weeks, or 2 weeks, or surprise release, another song's coming. And we really felt discouraged by the idea of labels and the music industry saying that single, we call it a single. It is the most important song. It's going to drive the album. Well, what about the other 6 songs on the album that are amazing, but they're not like as catchy, or like they're not what the label deems as amazing, but like in our band, we're like, dude, these are the songs that are going to move the needle. So we realize we want to curate the audience's interpretation of the music and be able to, as I said, curate it and be able to, here's the songs. This is the song. This is the next one. Here's the visual music video. Here's the artwork. Here is the t shirt. Here is everything about what we were thinking about this song. Let's move on to the next one in the next time frame. You know what I mean? And in this era where everything got turned upside down, people are out of jobs, people are out of homes, we're fortunate enough to be able to be musicians during this time and to be the most creative that we can ever be. So what should we do? Follow old traditions or rewrite the script and try new things and challenge people to think outside of what they're normally going to be listening to, and in actuality put it into a 3-song digestible, here's Obsolete, here's Timeless, here's Anchor. Each one of these songs has a moment in it for the audience, for the listener. And we're going to continue that. And it's pretty cool that we're working with the newest and sickest up and coming metalcore label, Sharptone. Like, we're so in with them. It's so sick.
I want,
And
yeah.
it's exciting for the whole community. I really feel like, and we feel stoked that there's so much influence coming from younger bands. You know, you have your Currents, you have your Spirit Boxes, you have this, and you have like all over the gamut, Dying Wish, you have your Atalas, you have just everything all over the board, and it's really exciting. All the while you have these idiots like Adam Levine saying that bands are dead or whatever. Like,
Uh,
Get out of the media, dude.
yeah, yeah,
You're
it,
so out of touch, bro.
yeah.
You might have a mohawk, but you're nothing, dude.
That's the best line ever. You mind if I?
Dude,
You mind if I
it is.
steal that? You mind if I steal it? You may have
No,
a
that's fine.
mohawk.
Yeah, dude.
That
Yeah,
that, that
you
should be
might
a
have a
song
mohawk,
title.
but you're nothing.
Those should be
I have a
lyrics.
mohawk.
Those should be lyrics.
Yeah.
Those should be lyrics, Adam. You might have a
Yeah, you
mohawk.
might have a mohawk, but the fact that you say bands are dead, do you even listen to Gojira? Do you even listen to Behemoth? Do you even listen to Architects? Do you even listen to Of Mice and Men? Do you even listen to what's happening in the other realm that is not pop culture?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so screw all that, man.
Yeah.
You know,
And I
whatever.
think what it is with metal, like, there's no denying. So I have two philosophies when it comes to not even just
Sure.
metalcore, but metalcore in general. One, or metal in general. There's no denying whether you're listening to Slayer, whether you're listening to Architects, whether you're listening to, Tool, whether you're listening to Periphery. It's darker. It's a darker form of music. It's aggressive. There's no
Yeah.
denying. Yeah. And on top of that, it's also brutally honest. It's a genre that doesn't hold back. Sometimes they engage in subject
Right.
matter that's uncomfortable. Sometimes they engage in subject matter that's
Oh, yeah.
very complex. And like, you look at Mastodon's lyrics, like, I mean, like,
Dude,
yeah,
yeah.
like, so like, people fear what they often don't know. And I just think what is great about metal is that they never needed like the mainstream. People say metal was dead in the 90s. Have you heard of Typo Negative? Have you heard of Pantera? Have you heard of Fear Factory? Have you heard of Sepultura? Like, metal.
Well, see, the good thing about all that is like people say that shit, but it's because they're not a part of that movement.
Yeah.
But that wave was the '90s was arguably the biggest movement for metal.
Yeah.
And alternative counterculture. Marilyn Manson, your Corns, your ICPs, your everything. Vanilla Ice put out a new metal record.
Yeah.
Like Vanilla Ice put out a new metal record because it was popping at the time. Like seriously, like it all ebbs and flows, and I think the reality is that the people that are out of touch will always comment on this shit as if they think they know. But like I'm out here and I was listening to the radio and I was happy when my bands weren't on there. You know what I mean? My favorite bands. And I was like, yeah, no, there's no way you would hear Eyeless from Slipknot on the radio. No way. But yeah, spit it out, super edited, and
Yeah.
I'll
Might as
sing the
well
whole
listen
thing
to the
front
scratch
back,
CD.
non-edited. Typo Negative. Like even Nine Inch Nails. Like these bands were pushing the boundaries because it's scary to make it real that pain is real.
Exactly.
And I really feel like this alternative lifestyle, this music, what we have all bought into, and it's not a hard sell, but it's like you know what I mean? Like I still buy Korn t-shirts. I still buy Slipknot t-shirts. You know what I mean? Like these are bands that I've listened to for over 20 years and I'm still buying their merch. Yeah. Like we all are a part of this culture that because they keep it authentic, because I'm not hearing this bubblegum bullshit, that I really do connect with this. And I feel like in our lifetime, there's only so many things that you can connect with. And if you can be authentic with yourself and realize that there is a true pain and there is a true change, that needs to happen within yourself, you're going to find it in dark music. You're going to find it in your counterculture lifestyle. And people are going to judge it and people are going to appropriate it. And they're going to make their Celine Dion shirts in black metal font. And
which is awesome.
I think like, which is awesome. And at the same time, but it's also like, give credit where credit's due. Like, let's listen to these bands. Let's be a part of the culture and understand what's going on. And like, you can hear it and be like, okay, that's a little abrasive, but like, there's groove in there. There are riffs in there.
Billie Eilish is a metalhead. Billie Eilish is a metalhead. Dude, Post Malone's a metalhead. So
yeah, absolutely. So I think it's an exciting time for the counterculture, and it really does need to be brought to the forefront because the bubblegum bullshit is done, dude. And I've been saying that for a long time, and it's cool seeing this whole pop punk resurgence and you got the metal with the trap, and you got your Ghost Mains and your Poppies and your, you got all these artists that are
They're like colliding.
across. Yeah, it's across the board, and you got your baby metals, and you got your Bring Me the Horizons, and you've got your like. Everybody is just melding everything, and I think that is the most important thing that can happen because it brings awareness to all kinds of the music.
I saw Ice
You
Cube
know,
open up for Guns N' Roses and Godsmack, or Godsmack and Guns N' Roses. Ice
that
Cube
is
played before it, and the
so hard body.
the
Ice
pit,
Cube opening for Godsmack.
yeah,
That's so sick.
and the pit was just as insane, just as many crowd surfers.
Right.
Like the future, I think, is genreless. That's how I look at it.
Well, see, the thing is heavy music knows no boundaries. It's just this.
Yeah,
It's the headbang. It's like if you can feel the movement. So now hip hop has obviously for decades been able to capture that with the bass line, with the 808s and stuff like that. Well, metalcore is the same with the double kicks and the grooves and the this and that. And now everything is melding itself together, and it is becoming something that heavy music is not just Slayer. Heavy music means, it could mean Marshmello, dude. It could mean Justin Bieber. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter nowadays. It's like the sound can be however they use the sonics to create that heaviness. And I really think that growing up, yes, metalcore was for certain bands and it was a certain thing. Now music should be music, and it should not be genre defined. It's no longer in Target. Let's stop giving a fuck.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's no longer in Best Buy. My biggest like goal as a musician at one point was to, man, I really hope I can get one of my albums in Best Buy, so my friends could like go to Best Buy and buy my album for $9.99 or $11.99 or whatever. And to me, that was success. Now I'm thinking that's full on corporate marketing. I'm so against it. Like, you know what I mean? Download it. I want you to come out to the shows. I want you to mosh with me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want my CDs in stores anymore.
Yeah.
But at the time growing up, that was something that I was like, wow, that's such an important thing for me to have is to have my CD in stores and to have my friends be able to go and be like, hey, I have validation. You can go buy my album at Best Buy.
Yeah.
That does not matter anymore because you can make an album in your bedroom. We're doing it now. And it can top Spotify charts. It can top radio charts. You can do it on your own home computers. We're doing it right now. And we've made 7 albums with the 21st century's most amazing rock producers, metal producers.
Yeah, and mixers.
And
Chris Lord Algae.
Dude, Lord, don't even get me started about how anytime either Howard Benson or Chris Lord Algae would walk into the room and I'd be like, like right there, like, I'm here to learn, you know, but like in actuality, man, like we've had the opportunity to work with so many amazing people, and it really made us realize the attention to our craft. We give it, and we do that better than any producer, than anybody. Why not? We do it ourselves. Mm-hmm. And we have seen bigger stream numbers. We're almost at 2 million monthly Spotify listeners. That's insane to us. Like, we're like, dude, we're 12 years deep and we're at 2 mil and it's still growing and we still have songs to release. It's incredible, man. Yeah. It's absolutely unreal.
And the final question I wanted to ask you was going to your creative process, because I feel like, you know, having all these different sounds and these emotions, I get different vibes. Does the inspiration like come out of the blue sometimes, or do you almost like have like a usual go-to creative process in order to?
I will say that yes, all of us, we all have our own go-to creative process, but case in point, when we were first starting to work on these EPs, we were Zooming, and then we would post the Zoom to Twitch, and then we would be live on Twitch working through these songs and like just kind of like starting songs from the get-go or whatever. We were just like showing our writing process. So Alan is clicking through presets on Contact. Native Instruments, shout out. We love all of our virtual instruments. We can have full-on orchestras now. So Alan's going through some of his presets, and we're just like, no, boring. No. All of a sudden, Aaron goes, whoa, go back. He goes back 2 switches, and that is the intro to Timeless. Is hong, 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 hong. Those, like the piano and the synth right there was literally, we didn't even have that song written at all. And Alan was just cycling through presets, and Aaron goes, dude, go back to that. That sounds good. And he goes, go to A to C. So then Alan plays the chords, and he goes, okay. And I was like, breakdown, there needs to happen there. And then Timeless was born. And that moment on Twitch, cycling through presets. You know what I mean? Like, inspiration strikes at any moment. And I think it's an important thing to share with our audience, that like, this isn't fucking rocket science. You know what I mean? Like, we're just musicians. Like, I have a room here full of all kinds of instruments and stuff like that. But like, it could just be Alan on Zoom being like, how does this sound? Whack. How does this sound? Whack. How does this sound? Whack. Go back. Whoa, that sounded really good. And then an entire song gets literally, Timeless came from that one preset, A to C, in synths, and then the entire song was built off of that. It's live on Twitch.
It's incredible to just see like how happy accidents occur. But you could be honest, being the drummer of the band, when you get music presented to you, I'm not going to talk shit, but I mentioned this to Dirk from Megadeth. When people present the music to you and you haven't laid down the drums yet, how off time is it sometimes? You could be honest.
Well, I love it because it's usually Alan, and he plays everything with his fingers. So he has 8 drumsticks. You know what I'm saying? So like, when he plays it, he's like, I'm always like, I always laugh, and I always send him back like, yo, you used like 8 cymbals right there, bro. Like, I only have 2 hands, my guy. Yeah. So it's super funny, but like, a lot of people, that was kind of like a big thing where like people assume like the drummer like has to be like, oh, right there, like, oh, I'm gonna write the drum beat. It's all about the vibe of the song. You know what I mean? Like, everyone knows like, okay, I want this part to be dooga-dega, 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 dooga-dega. I want this to be like upbeat,
Yeah.
And really, we're very fortunate in our writing guild of the 4 of us that we just understand each other. And like, Alan can send me half ideas or full ideas, and he's like, will you make this sound like a drummer played it? And I'm like, yeah, I could do that. I've got my electric kit right here. That's how I'm recording everything for all these songs. And yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Okay.
Give me 20 minutes.
All right, because I've noticed you put a different emotion into it. When I saw you at the when I was at the Nothing More show that you played, like I was actually watching from the side balcony area, so I got a pretty good view of like your whole kit like area, and I noticed like going from song to song, like you had like a different emotion that you channeled into it. Like there was one song where you were like beating the shit out of it, and then like there was another song where like you were feeling more emotional towards it. I feel like just because they don't have melody, drums are still very emotional.
Right, and it really is the thing that we're trying to capture here, where I haven't seen my guys in a year. We have not been in the same room, and this is the longest time in my entire life that a show has not been, a concert has not happened where I performed in it in my entire, probably since I was 4 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was playing like Christmas concerts with my saxophone and like piano and stuff like that. Like, growing up, like every year there was a concert, and this is the first year that there's been no concerts. I have not seen my dudes in an entire year, and we're writing albums and EPs and songs and all this stuff. We're just releasing them as EPs, but we're writing songs all the time. And the creative process is like better than it's ever been, but at the same time, we still end every conversation with, I fucking miss you guys. Like, I wish we could be in $1 million studio right now,
Yeah.
like doing this, but instead we're on Zoom, and this is what we got to do, and this is what our reality calls for. And I could have never anticipated this, but the fact that we're able to create music and our audience is listening and enjoying it is absolutely incredible, because to us, it's always been the song first. The song is the most important vessel for everything. The song is the vessel for merch. The song is the vessel for the label getting money. Song is the vessel for the management company. You know what I mean? Like, the song, it starts at what we create at base level about our lives. And that's what we're capturing with this Timeless EP and the Bloom EP that's coming and everything else that's coming in the future.
And mark my words, when this bullshit is over, regardless of when it is over, eventually it's going to end. All darkness is temporary. But,
Of course.
yeah, but we will enter, I'm not even kidding, the best era of music of all time. Like,
Oh my God, dude.
be, be,
I'm so excited for it. And I really do think that it's, it's a growing awareness that we weren't all aware of how for granted we took shit.
I'll see them
and
next
like
time.
as far as like the dude even going to a festival, even going to concerts, it's like, yeah, we're all sweaty and we're all like all over each other in the mosh pit and this and that. Like, we took that for granted to a certain extent, where like we didn't think that could kill us.
Yeah.
That getting somebody else's sweat or breathing somebody else's air could potentially kill you. That's an awful thing to think about. And as far as we're concerned, when it comes to live shows, we're not risking anything for ourselves. Our band has always been 150 million% focused on health and the integrity of the musicians in the band and the fans around us. We will not put ourselves or our fans at risk at any point. Bands are putting shows on. They're selling tickets right now. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're not going to be one of the first bands to jump on this shit.
Yeah.
Because we've seen a lot and we've experienced a lot in our time as a band, and we feel like the best thing that we can be doing is offering brand new music every month, every week, that while people can stay safe in their homes and stay protected, and we're not going to put them into harm's way with a mosh pit or anything. And until it's super safe, there's no mice unless there's a mosh pit. You know what I mean? Like, we're built on that culture. Our songs are made to mosh.
Well, I'm thinking that
they're not capsule songs. You don't sit in a pod and listen to a Mice and Men song and rock out by yourself.
But I think
that's not.
There's going to be a new like straight edge vegan hardcore movement like Earth Crisis, but instead of that, it's going to be masks and social distance. If you mosh, you're a poser, like, or something like that. I see somebody.
No, dude. Somebody. You know what? What's funny is, back in the day, we all wore bandanas when we were moshing to begin with anyway, because YouTube was just starting and nobody wanted their face on camera. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think, and I believe that the mosh pit and the crowd, the audience at a concert is a safe place for people. And it's not a place where people are coughing on each other or sneezing on each other. It might happen, but they're not going to do that. Everybody at a metal concert that is there in the mosh pit is ready to listen to the music, to be one with the artists that created it right there on that stage. And I think there's I've tuned into tons of the live streams on through this time, and these bands have been killing it and doing amazing jobs with their live streams. But it just, nothing feels like the real thing. You know what I mean? Like, unless you're there at the real thing and you feel that. And to us, we hold that sacred in A Mice and Men, and we will continue to wait until that time is there again so we can perform our songs for an audience that will truly feel it and be moved by that. That's why we've won awards. That's why we're still here 12 years in the game. You know what I mean? Like, it really comes down to just understanding and wanting to provide the best experience for our audience that we can. And while we cannot be out there in the live aspect, we will be curating musical experiences in the form of extended play vinyl records that we are going to be sharing with everybody, that here is where we're at. This is what we were feeling at this point in time. This is the most authentic music that we've created, and we have Sharp Tone behind us, helping us turn this into physical musical medium instead of just like a wave file or whatever.
Yeah, we'll all be back, and we'll all be better than ever, and it'll be worth the
Absolutely.
wait. It'll be worth the wait. And I don't want to hear anybody
Yeah.
ask anymore. Oh, what time does the headliner go on? Or going, or like, you only get a drink in between sets now, not during the sets. Or I'll leave after this band. None of that. Show up early, catch the local bands, stay for the headliner. It'll be a good
Yeah,
time.
see, and that's the thing too, dude. Whenever we were touring, we always made sure to put on local bands to help get local bands get in the scene, and they would thank us and be like, "Oh my god, we never in a million years thought that we could play with the Mice and Men." And we're like, "Dude, you guys are the local legends, and here in Raleigh, North Carolina, like, you guys are making waves out here. We want to put you guys on. We want to promote this scene. We want to promote the culture. That's why I wear the Chain Reaction shirt. These are venues. These are places that, you know, 200 people go to watch a hardcore band, and it creates a community movement like that. That doesn't happen. Only in hardcore does that happen. And I think that that's super important. And for Mice and Men and how we grew up, we will always put that forward because that's how we grew up. And though our band was very fortunate to not necessarily have to jump through all the hoops that needed to happen for the bands before, when we were all in of Mice and Men, the reality still holds true that these venues, these Chain Reactions, these Somas in San Diego, these what's the one in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Chameleon
Yeah,
Club, like, you know what I mean? Like, these venues that are hurting right now because there are no shows happening. They are a part of the culture just as much as the breakdowns are. You know, they're just as important. Like, Chain Reaction is just as important as every single of Mice and Men breakdown. You know what I mean?
I love that.
And it really needs to be like Loathe. I'm sure we'll have tons of venues that they're scared of losing. You know what I mean? Like in the
Everybody.
UK and stuff like that. Like, it's it's just a crazy time in music. So to anybody that's watching or anybody that's listening, please support the artist. Please buy merch. Please support your favorite venues. Do everything you can to be a part of the scene, even if you can't necessarily financially afford it at that time. Just a comment on a venue's page means the world. You guys don't realize how much power we have as individuals to make somebody else's life feel just a little bit better. And we're all stuck at home, and things are opening back up now. And it seems like the world might be taking a turn, but it's a scary turn.
Yeah,
And we're going to, I don't know if you just knocked on wood, but
I
I was going
did.
to say,
I
knock on
I
wood,
did.
that things are going to get better, and that we're going to all be able to take care of each other and be able to continue this culture of what we need, because we need this.
Definitely.
And at some point, the music has to meet the road, because the music can't just be music. The music has to meet the road. and we are a music meets the road type of band, but we'll just keep making tons of music. But at some point, knowing that the music will meet the road, and we'll see you guys once again here coming soon.
Thank you so much, Tino. Everybody, Tino
Of
of
course,
Mice
man.
Men, Timeless EP out now. Check it out. This is Alex from Heavy
Yeah.
New York. We'll see you next time.